The museum's got a really wonderful collection of bark paintings. And bark paintings are really quite vulnerable to damage. They're made from natural materials. The bark can be quite vulnerable and can actually suffer damage if the relative humidity fluctuates too much. They can split because they move in response to relative humidity. When they move, the pigments on the bark can also flake. So careful storage, careful handling, but also repair of damage are very important. With bark paintings that have split or cracked, we need to provide them with support, and this can be done with a Japanese paper repair on the reverse, or if it needs more support, a textile repair. We may also need to put adhesive between completely broken halves of a painting. The other main type of damage we come across is flaking pigment. The pigments on barks are often not bound together very well in the original, because of the types of binders that have been used and the amount of binder that's been used. When we come across flaking pigment, we have to try and re-adhere it to the surface of the bark. And before we do this, we have to test the adhesives. Adhesives can change the colour of the pigment, so we need to choose one that is going to do this as little as possible. Once we've got our adhesive, we then have to apply that behind the flakes so that we can then lay them back down onto the bark surface to prevent the loss of the image. This is a very, very delicate operation. When we display bark paintings, we try to allow them to move naturally as they would in response to relative humidity. So when they're on display, rather than following the previous systems where they were held down and hung on the wall with a very rigid system behind them, we now create a tailor-made shelving or bracket system for each work, and we attach that to the wall, and then we put the bark on that so that it's able to sit there on display, be seen, but also still move in response to relative humidity as it changes. I really love working as a conservator. It's not just the objects and the collections and the history associated with them, but I really love working in an institution where conservation is making a contribution right across the board and really getting stuff out there to the public. What we do is look after the objects, but we actually make them accessible and make them displayable, which is great.